Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Talking Fitchburg on this Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. I'm Jeremy Crosby. Hope you're having a wonderful day out there, and glad you're here joining me, Andrew, at home. I had to come into the office today. I wanted to emphasize the fact that, yes, we are following the mask order here, but make sure that you can hear me, visually see the words that are coming out of my mouth, and everything else in between. I'm going to have the mask off here, and I am by myself as well here in studio, but definitely keeping the mask on as we continue on the mask order here in Dane County. And now I see Milwaukee is also going into mandatory mask wearing as well. We'll keep you up to date on all those details with the mask as we move through this pandemic. But we got a busy show for you today and get you updated on the headlines coming up here in just a little bit of time. We'll talk about COVID-19, get your update and take a look at the snapshot from last week and what's going on today coming up in Digest. And then with fire department, we'll check in with Adam Dorn. We're talking about cooking fires. I'll throw some questions at him related to how to handle different situations with cooking fires and your safety tips. More that's coming up with our guest segment. But first, we do turn to the headlines, and we start with road closures. As we did this morning, Grandview road closure on July 15th. Grandview Road will be closed just east of Fitchburg Road as they do some culvert replacement work. The work should be completed by Friday, July 17th, pending the weather. So if you are or travel in this area, please plan accordingly. Also, McKee Road closure coming up on Thursday. Eastbound McKee Road will close on Thursday night, July 16th from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. On Friday morning, July 17th, or Friday morning, July 17th, excuse me, AT&T to access their manhole for fiber optic utility work. So if you're planning on traveling down that corridor on the screen you're seeing the map right now, Andrew nicely redrew up here so you can get your way around this project as that closure is in place again starting Thursday night right around 11 p.m. Eastbound McKee Road will be closed. All right, absentee voting for the August 11th partisan primary curbside service is available here at City Hall. This primary coming up here on the 11th will be available by curbside and by appointment from Tuesday, July 28th through Thursday, August 6th, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Friday, August 7th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please call the clerk's desk. Their number is 270-4200 to schedule an appointment, and please indicate if your preference is curbside. No appointments will be available after 4:15 p.m. and you will need to bring your photo ID, and we suggest you bring your own ballpoint pen when you come out to mark the ballot. Also request that you wear a face mask. Please note, effective on and around July 21st, the voter registration residency requirements will change from 10 days to 28 days. And we'll keep you updated on as those dates get closer here about absentee voting and more. We'll get you updated in the details from our clerk's department right here on Talking Fitchburg. All right, other news, drive-through job fair is coming up. Who doesn't like a good old drive-through job fair? No fries at the end, though. Just saying. It's all about the jobs. And here's what we've got going on. This will be happening on July 15th. It'll be 12 to 4 p.m. at Warner Park. It's just off 2930 North Sherman Avenue. It's a huge parking lot out there. And yeah, you can step on by, and there'll be manufacturing, office, construction, healthcare, professional, retail, hospitality, transportation, and logistics. All part of it. If you're interested in learning more about this job fair, check out the website www.wdbscw.org for more information. 12 to 4 p.m. July 15th. All right, finally, in the headlines here, ride responsibly. New ATV, UTV safety laws are out there. These new laws went into effect March 4th of 2020, and there is a few changes here if you're using these recreational vehicles. I throw this in because a lot of people are looking for new ways of, enjoying life, and this may be one of them. So let's get into it. The ATV UTV riding is a growing sport in Wisconsin. In 2019, there were 149 non-fatal accidents involving ATVs and UTVs. Drinking or drugs, inexperience, and vehicle speed and operator error were all some of the top contributors to these incidences. And there are also 22 fatal ATV and UTV accidents in 2019. Thus, ATV operation cannot have a passion, or operators cannot have a passenger riding in or on any part of the ATV that is not designed or intended to be used by a passenger. Previously, this law only applied to roadways. Aftermarket seating does not comply with the law. Again, aftermarket seating does not comply with the law. For ATVs, low pressure tires are no longer required. Instead, the only requirement is 3 or more tires. ATVs are required to be commercially designed and manufactured, and their width cannot exceed 50 inches in measured laterally between the outermost wheel rims on each side of the vehicle. Also, for UTVs, the low pressure tires are also no longer a requirement. Instead, they must have 4 or more tires. UTVs must be originally manufactured with and must have at all times a width of not more than 65 inches as measured laterally and between the outermost wheel rim on each side of the vehicle. Tell you what, Andrew's going to post up the link and all the links to our headlines today, and that will help you learn a little bit more about that and all the other stories we have for you here on our headlines each and every day. And we do that because we want you to know where we found them and how you can learn more. So that's why we post it up for you and share the links. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up the digest. We're talking about COVID-19. We'll give you the latest snapshot and up-to-date numbers next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Gaining weight was easy. All I had to do was sit down and eat. Losing weight's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes every step, every choice, every day very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
You made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Now on to the Fitchburg Digest. And today we're going to take a look at cases of COVID-19, both with a snapshot, which is a cumulative collection of data, and also the daily update as well. And we'll go to that daily one that's updated every day at 9:30 a.m. And here's what we've got right now as we look at this. Confirmed cases, 3,151 cases here in Dane County. That's cumulative cases. Recovered cases, which is just the next tab over, is 1,965 have recovered from this. Total tests were at the 105,908, and people tested right at 84,385. So pretty cool as we move through the numbers in testing. That continues to go up. Cases ever hospitalized, we're at 247, and unfortunately 33 people have succumbed to this COVID-19. As far as looking at the big cumulative case count by date of test results, we're right there up there at the 3,000 mark, as stated before, 3,151, showing you how much. And we saw some big jumps in the last couple of days, in the last week or so. Over on the right side there, we've got our confirmed cases from age groups, so 0 to 9. There have been 89 cases. The next piece up is 20 to 29 age group. There's been 1,000 or 1.4 thousand, and then 39 through 30 through 39, 492 cases. So very interesting on that 20 to 29. That's where we saw the biggest increase, especially in the last month. We've definitely seen a huge increase there. We were talking about this hitting the elder population heavy, but in Wisconsin, cases from 40 to 49 age group, you're at 311, 60 to 69, you're at 181, 70 to 79, 94, and 90 and above have had 53 cases. So for whatever reason, the cases here in Dane County have been definitely the highest in the age group of 20 to 29. As far as the hospitalizations go, that's where we're seeing the elder population definitely have the highest amount, and especially in that 60 to 69 range, 49 hospitalizations. But definitely startling too, and going back and comparing that 20 to 29, 22 hospitalizations on that. So you're not definitely not out of the woods. Just because you're young doesn't mean you can't be hospitalized for this. Even the 0 to 9 category has seen eight people hospitalized for this. Deaths, definitely the older you are, the death rate is unfortunately higher. And it's highest in the 80 to 89 age group with 10 deaths, 70, 79 at 6 deaths, and anybody or people above 90, the deaths at 9. So kind of just interesting numbers here to definitely go and learn a little bit more about an overall picture here. Andrew showed me here at the bottom too, you can click between each one of these so you can look at the big chart kind of in a different way. So new cases by date was the next one clicking over here. We can say the 7-day average again definitely had gone up, especially in late June through early July. We've seen some high cases here, and the highest so far in Wisconsin. So by no means are we out of this anytime soon. We still need to do our part. Now let's switch over to Dane County COVID-19. The snapshot, they call it, is put out July 13th, and this is data from the 27th through July 10th. And again, this measures a whole bunch of different things, and this is helping us keep our forward Dane piece going as far as when things open and can keep moving forward. Now I'm going to go right down to the demographics here. And it says in the past 14-day period, 24,083 people were tested for COVID-19, with 1,378 of those people testing positive, and 37 of those people who tested positive were hospitalized. Black and Hispanic and Dane County residents who tested positive are overrepresentative of cases in hospitalization compared to those represented overall in the population in Dane County. So we're looking across the board here. That kind of gives you a snapshot of who's been getting it here in Dane County. Scrolling down just a little bit more, looking at the male versus female. Males have been more likely to get it. And again, as we said above there, that 29 or 20 to 29 age group is showing the most people who tested positive in the 14-day period. So people thought maybe that they're younger, they would not be be affected, and that is just not the case. Those numbers are definitely significant. All this is available. We'll have Andrew post these up with the links with the headlines, so you can check out the full data available. All right, that does it for this digest. Coming up next, I check in with Adam Dorn, Fitchburg Fire Rescue. We're talking about cooking fire safety. That's next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Hola, Julia. ¿Estás lista para tocar con nosotros? Yo tocaré mi clarinete.
Y Alma tocará su tambor. Tambor ruidoso.
Bueno, ya sabes qué hacer, Julia.
Julia sabe.
Dado el autismo de Julia, los sonidos pueden ser muy fuertes.
Y hace música a su manera. ¡A tocar!
La detección temprana del autismo puede hacer una diferencia de por vida. Conoce más sobre la detección temprana en detecciondeautismo.org.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is Adam Dorn for the Fitchburg Fire Rescue. Dorn, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Great. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm doing wonderful. You know, we should total up how many of these segments we've done, Dorn, so we can celebrate like our 500th episode of Dorn and Jeremy.
Right.
Just saying.
I think that'd be a good idea.
I'm thinking DJ in the morning, like you and I have a little show.
That'd be all right. Hey, does that mean I could take Andrew's spot?
Nobody can take Andrew's spot.
Okay, good.
Okay? Good. Don't you ever say that again. No, I joke around. Dorn has been gracious all these years to help us with education. We appreciate that. And today we're going to focus up on cooking fires. Been a lot of cooking fires in Fitchburg recently. Last time we focused a little bit on cooking fires with suppression of sprinkler systems, which has been phenomenal. Luckily, I've saved some properties and even allowing residents to get back into said area in some cases, which is even, when you think about the overall piece of it, that's pretty cool. But focusing on the source here today, you and I've sat in a kitchen with you and done cooking segments. We've done a lot of things. So today, instead of just going through the generics, let's take some scenarios and go through it. So first scenario, let's just start with a simple, maybe a bacon scenario. We've got bacon, maybe it's frozen, maybe it's not, whatever. We throw it on, we're making this grease, and all of a sudden we got a fire.
Well, first of all, we should never let it get to that point because we don't want to ruin our bacon. Bacon is, one of those special food groups. But no.
Everybody in the fire department just rolled over. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah. So it's on a cooktop in the pan, right? Best thing you can do if you have a cover for the pan, put the cover over the pan, put the lid right on it, then turn off the burner and remove the pan from the burner that was on. So remove it from the heat source and let it sit. The best thing you can do.
Yeah, and that's that pretty much will follow common suit here as we talk a couple of different pieces here. Switching over to maybe looking at a deep frying scenario. They make deep fryers that you can stand on your counter. Some of them are covered, some of them are not. Again, we're cooking along. Forget it's in there. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, deep fryer scenario, whether it's on the stove or in some type of other heating element, recommendations.
Yeah. Again, the big one is if you can get the fuel or the heat source turned off so that it stops heating, that's a major component of that. The other aspect is that if there's a cover to that type of deep fryer and you can put the cover on, put the cover on it. You can't really remove the deep fryer from the heat source like you can with a pan on a stove, but those are the two big ones. One of the things to make sure though is that when you do use those deep fryers that are in the kitchen, make sure there's nothing else even close to it. Clear everything away from that immediate area. That way there's no chance of oil splashing out and catching something else on fire if something does go wrong. If it's one of the deep fryers that you're using outside, maybe you're cooking a turkey, or I've even heard some people doing hams or other things, do not put it on your deck or close to the deck or close to a house. Put it far enough away from the house, 10, 15 feet away from anything that could catch on fire. That way you don't have to worry about the fire spreading if something were to happen.
Absolutely. It's simple, but very effective in that front. Turning our attention to something in the oven. We haven't cleaned out our oven for a long time. We're baking that chicken for the night or whatever. And we noticed that something's lit in there. Something's on fire. What do we do?
Yeah, those are actually even a little bit easier. Up to the stove, turn the stove off, or the oven off, turn the oven off, and here's a big one, leave the door closed. because there's only so much oxygen inside of the oven. And if that food does catch on fire or is on fire, if you open the oven door up, there's going to be more oxygen that it gets to, and you're not only going to give it more oxygen, but there's also going to be all the other smoke that's coming out of the stove into the rest of your living areas. That's not so great. So if you leave it shut, you're still going to have some smoke coming out. Turn the exhaust fan on, try and get that out, that kind of thing. But other than that, that's about it. Turn the oven off, leave the door closed. Let us come handle it.
Adam, when we're looking at other things like putting a fire extinguisher in the kitchen area or baking soda, those things, what are some things that we could have on hand besides having the pan or a cover for the pan when we're talking about cooking on a surface? What are some things you would recommend, household items that we could have in our possession to stop the spread of a fire?
Yeah, I think the big one is having a fire extinguisher. And sometimes people like to say, oh, we're going to put it under the kitchen sink, or we're going to put it, near the stove. And I kind of caution people about that, because let's think about where it's being placed. Is that if you put it near the stove and there's something on the stove that's on fire, is that really the safest place for you to be trying to grab something if there's a fire over there? Under the sink, I don't know who doesn't store all sorts of stuff under the sink. And it's generally not really easy to get to stuff underneath there, other than the stuff that you use very frequently. So what I've done in my parents' house and in my house is that I've actually put it in a closet, which is just off the kitchen. So I actually have to leave the kitchen to get the fire extinguisher, and I'm okay with that, because now that makes me think that if I grab that extinguisher and I turn back around and it's even bigger than I thought it was, do I really have the right stuff to put this fire out? You don't want to go in and use a glass of water. You don't want to use water basically ever in the kitchen, because of the greases. It will not explode, but it'll just make it expound that much faster. It'll spread because the oil and water don't mix, and everything catches on fire once water gets introduced, because it just spreads so easily. Yeah, that's what I recommend, is putting it away from the kitchen, but close to the kitchen, so that you have to at least stand back when you grab it and you turn around, you can see the big picture, because a lot of times we get tunnel vision as far as that's the only issue, and we don't see that the fire maybe already extended up to the cabinets and this, other stuff. There's all kinds of factors that could come into play, but I like to think about it as that the fire extinguisher goes between the kitchen and your way out of the house.
Yeah, no, it's a really good tip. I wouldn't have even thought about placing it a little bit further back. I was thinking, maybe I have like a square countertop, so I can put it on either side. But thinking that way, yeah, if it's really close to a fire, it'd be hard to access if you're trying to stay away from a fire. I think that leads us into something we talked a little bit about last time, but when is it too late? When is the time where we gotta say we're done here? When's that time to call 911? And I know I've asked you this, a million times, but I think that's the important part, is when is this just too much that it's a professional piece? And I'll follow up with after that, maybe you put out a fire, when should we call 911 as well? Make sure that it didn't do more damage, first we'll talk about active fire and getting away, and then we'll talk about extinguish and still calling you guys in.
Yeah. Good, very good questions. I would say this: what would be good for me, where I would say, yeah, I can handle this fire, is probably going to be different for you or Andrew or, Mr. Smith down the street. We're all going to have a different level of being comfortable putting out a fire. So the way I like to explain it is that if your instincts or your gut goes, whoa, it makes you kind of take that step back and go, this is really big, even though it might just be the pan and you're going, this is way too much for me, call 911. If it's, I would say that once it gets out of the pan, for sure, call 911, because who knows where else it's going to go, and if you're going to be able to put it out. If it's just in the pan itself, if you can put it out, great. but also it's still a good idea to call 911 even if you were able to get it out, because what if, it flares back up and you didn't notice it, or we can't tell you not to do it, because we want to make sure that you're safe. So we want you to call 911 if you have an issue like that, because we would much rather see you be safe and have us come out and take care of and just verify it, that there were no other issues. It's not a big deal for us. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on the extinguished side of things, which tends to be a lot of it, fire's been put out by the time you guys get there, but same deal. If you do put out something by fire extinguisher, whatever the case may be, and maybe they're charged to a cabinet or something, when should we call you in for that?
Yeah, great question. Again, if you had a fire, call us. Let us know. We will come out and gladly check to make sure that it did not extend anywhere. A lot of times when recalls happen on different devices or products or appliances, it's because people have had these little fires and they call 911, and we actually report that to the National Fire Incident Reporting System. We report those things, and they actually take a look at that and they go, okay, well, this model, as an example, the Mr. Coffee maker back in the day was known to have started many fires, and because of that, that actually got a recall put out on it because of the work that the fire departments did by collecting all the data and the information. And that only happened because of, people calling the fire department and say, hey, I had a fire in the coffee maker. I want to make sure that it's out. Can you come out and take a look at it? So
yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely.
matter how big or small it is. Let us come out and take a look, verify, and we'll be happy to do that. Make sure everything is safe.
Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't want something to rekindle and whatever that leads to, just imaginable. Real quick here, Dorm, we're running out of time, but if you check out on the Fitchburg website, fitchburgwi.gov, there's a ton of resources out there for you. And if you're thinking about a fire extinguisher, you guys have this broke down on the website really well, kind of understanding the different types, usage and whatnot. And by all means, if you have any questions about what we talked about or any of this stuff, you can always call the fire department. Dorn would love to talk to you. Trust me.
I would. I enjoy taking phone calls where people want to learn something about a topic that will help educate them and keep them safe.
Absolutely. All right, Dorn, thank you so much for the time. As always, we'll check back in with you real soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, Adam Dorn, Fitchburg Fire Rescue. Love that guy. He does a great job here, and we appreciate his time as always. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
I expected it to be a lot easier.
I thought it was going to be a piece of cake. I didn't know what step to take next.
I was transitioning from the military.
I was a vehicle gunner.
An avionics specialist.
I was an MP, military police.
My friends thought I could do anything.
I missed my unit, my family.
Playing with my daughter, I felt like a stranger.
I was overwhelmed.
I couldn't sleep.
I just wanted to be by myself.
I didn't have a clear sense of what to do next.
I was too proud. And then I thought, if I'm going through this, other veterans have gone through it too,
right?
I started to open up.
And it made a huge difference.
So I reached out, and I saw that I wasn't alone.
Because before I was able to take on my next mission, I had to take on just taking care of myself.
To find purpose.
We are not alone. Other veterans have transitioned from the military and overcome mental health challenges. Visit maketheconnection.net.
Welcome back to Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for today, I want to thank Adam Dorn for coming out and helping us, keeping you up to date on cooking safety. Again, cooking fires are definitely up here in the city of Fitchburg, and we want to make sure you take it safe. I mean, we're at home more, we're cooking more, so we need to make sure we take those extra precautions, do some good cleaning, and again, be near where you're cooking. Don't leave when you're cooking. Very important. All right. Here's what I want you to do, though. I do want you to stay connected with Fact TV. And Andrew says you can go on the website. Andrew says you can do Apple TV, Roku, Facebook, YouTube. Andrew says you should tune in. And Andrew says, see you later. So do I. Have a great day, everybody.